Hi, my name is Tracy Ann deSousa. I come from Goa, India, and I did an MBA at Erasmus University, Rotterdam School of Management, and graduated in March 2020. I've had 4 years of work experience in retail and investment banking, and I also spent a year and a half volunteering as a teacher in a school for underprivileged children in India. I decided to do an MBA because I wanted to move to Europe to work, and I really like the culture here, the work culture. It's more me. Also, the kind of field I'm into, which is impact investing, is very big in Europe. And I specifically picked RSM for my MBA because I really like the culture of the school. I did visit it before joining, and I also like the curriculum. The fact that they focus heavily into sustainability was very much something that I like and appreciate, and what I would like for my career in the future, which is why I did an MBA at RSM. When I visited the school, I had an appointment with somebody from the admissions team. So they showed me around the campus, which I really liked, the school building. I attended a class the next day. I also had lunch with a bunch of the current batch students. And I asked them a bunch of questions that were relevant to me. And I really liked the atmosphere. Everyone was very helpful, very nice, very supportive, which is the kind of culture that I wanted for my MBA. I did not want a school that was overly competitive so that's what I really liked about before I joined the MBA. That's what really drew me to RSM. And to be honest, I mean, it's the Netherlands. It's a really cool place to live. The culture is really nice here. People are very direct and open and honest, which is very me. And it's also got a great work-life balance. People speak English very easily, so it's not a problem. Till now, I mean, I've been here a year and a half, and I just started my classes in Dutch a few weeks ago. And that's just for my own knowledge. It's not something that has been required of me, even at my job right now, which is in a Dutch company. So yes, a bunch of pros. What stood out about RSM is mostly the factor of sustainability, and also the kind of culture was a little more friendly and welcoming than the other schools in is what I felt. So yes, and I'm very happy I made that decision. I picked Europe because I like the culture very much in Europe. I like the environment here. I like coming from India. Women's safety is also a big factor. I have lived outside of Goa. I'm from Goa, but in Goa, the industry it's more a beach and holiday kind of place. So the industries that thrive there are mostly just hospitality. Someone like me in finance would have to move to another city in India. And I did. I have lived 6.5 years in another city called Pune. But as far as women's safety and just security and work-life balance, quality of life, I didn't enjoy it at all. So that's why I chose to pick Europe, where, for example, a strong woman like me who is opinionated and who likes to have a seat at the table does get a chance, even at a young age of 28. Like, I still get a chance to do that. Whereas back home, I still did it, but it was not appreciated. So I like that I'm appreciated here for my opinion. And yeah, that's something that drew me. Because even when I was working in India, I was working for Deutsche Bank, but I was working in an offshore site. So we were based in India, but the main business was in London, Switzerland, and Zurich and Frankfurt. And I felt like the culture of my teams in Europe were very me. Every time they visited India, we'd get along really well, but the same could not be said of the environment in India. It's not to complain. It's just that I was different from them. So I had to go somewhere that suited me. Transitioning from an MBA into a job was not particularly easy, but that's only because the kind of work I wanted to do, which was impact investing, is very niche. And although the Netherlands has some of the highest number of companies in that space, a lot of times not knowing Dutch or not knowing the Dutch industry kind of was a disadvantage. Also, I wanted to shift from what I was doing as a middle office, like more operations. I wanted to segue into the investment, the front end side of it, but I had to find a segue through risk, which was like a middleman between the middle office and the front office. It's how I could get into a company that does something like that and then eventually move to investments, which is what I have done. Right from my first interview, that's the great thing about the Dutch though, like right from my first interview, I told my boss, my going to be boss, that I do not hope to be in your department forever. This is my plan. I want to be here for 3 years and then I want to move to the investment side of it. And he has been so supportive. He checks in with me every other day asking, how's it going? Do you talk to those guys who you want to get into the department? Of course, with Corona, it's a bit harder because understanding my own job and being trained and also talking to other colleagues who I've never met, by the way, has been a bit of a challenge, but a challenge that I like. So yes, I would, yeah, it was a challenge, but it wasn't a very big challenge, to be honest, because I finished my MBA in end of December. And I had a few interviews lined up and it clicked by mid-Feb. I was already signed my contract and ready. And then I started working only in March. So the personal leadership development course is one of RSM's USPs. And the focus of that course is to help us learn more about ourselves. It goes in 4 different steps per term. And we start with learning about ourselves. They inculcate this into us. We are kind of asked questions that require us to introspect. We then move to the next step, which is our team, because we are kind of assigned teams in RSM. And the school makes it a point to assign the most diverse team you could possibly get. People from all over the world, from different kinds of professional backgrounds, different kinds of personalities. RSM keeps track of the way you are. They will keep somebody who's extremely talkative with someone who's really quiet. And most of the time, the teams don't always get along as well. But fortunately for me, every team I've had has been amazing. People are different age groups. I think the average age was 31 when we joined in January. I was 26 at the time, and I think the youngest was about 25 and the oldest was about 40. So you have people who have different kinds of levels of professional experience, different ideologies, different cultures, mindsets, and you're kind of put together. You have all your work for a whole term. Every class is done together. So it's interesting in a lot of ways. To be able to, so the personal leadership development, really, first you develop yourself. The second term is more about your interaction with the team. You start getting feedback from your team about things they like and things they don't like. And personally, that was a very big eye-opener for me, because I feel like I have always been into meditation and mindfulness, and I do introspect, and I felt like I did know myself. But the pros that I received about myself were not a single one that I imagined, and neither were the cons. And actually, it inspired me for my birthday last year to ask my entire batch for a word that describes me or my vibe. And I actually got 80 different words. Nobody knew what these words were that the other gave, but there are 80 words, and out of them, 70 are unique. And it was pretty incredible and absolutely amazing to get that kind of experience. I picked RSM and Europe, and specifically for an MBA, is because it was a 1-year MBA. But you still get all the effects of a 2-year MBA, except it's crammed and jammed into 1 year, which means you have a lot of workload. You have a lot of different subjects that you have to deal with at the same time. For example, term 1, you will have something like quantitative platform for business, which involves like Excel modeling. You also have something like management science, which uses other kinds of modeling. Then you have your financial accounting and those type subjects. And then you have something like HR. So not all subjects, for example, I'm good with the maths and the modeling and those type things. But when it comes to like HR or the more softer skill ones, they are not really my forte. So you have to work in a team all the time. So there is a lot of things that you will discover about yourself because you are crammed into doing a lot of deadlines come around the same time. You have exams all happening at the same time. So there is a lot of pressure to be able to manage your time wisely, and not just your time, but because you're working in a team, you can also manage your resources wisely. So there were times when, for example, the deadline was extremely close, in which case the people who were good at a subject would work on that. But I always encouraged our team where we would do it the opposite way, where people who are not good at the subject work on it, because that's how you become good at the subject or you learn more about the subject. And the ones who were good at it would review it. So we would have this kind of, but of course, each team can make up their own style of working. In my team, we never really had any big breakdowns or anything dramatic, but that's not to say that that does not happen. In fact, that is actually a very common thing to happen. I was just fortunate that it did not happen with me. So yes, you can expect a lot of pressure, a lot of sometimes tempers flaring up because everything is so jam-packed and everything is so important. So yes, that's definitely an interesting part. And your year will fly by and you will totally regret not doing a 2-year MBA because you're going to love it so much, but it's worth it. I personally came in thinking that I will do an MBA and then I can do any job I want. But the fact of the matter is, when someone looks at your resume, they still look at what you have done in the past. Your MBA is just one small little line over there. Of course, it does have a lot of weightage. But personally, I still think the return on investment is immense, because it's not just my salary as soon as I finish the MBA, but it is the personality that I have developed and the ability to rise within an organization and do more with my skills that will take me way more places than had I not done the MBA. So I wouldn't say the return on investment should be something you consider tangible in the short term. Like, I get a salary. Of course, my salary right now annual is way more than what I spent annually for the tuition of the MBA. But at the same time, the return on investment, I do see it as far as my own personality goes. And within like 3 months of joining an organization, I've joined as a risk manager. And my boss the other day already joked that when next year, he thinks I should already be a senior risk manager. And that's not because I'm new to risk. I don't know the Dutch market. I don't know. I'm new to asset management. So everything is new to me, but it's not the fact that my knowledge is great. It's just that my personality and my spirit and my energy is such that they think that I am capable of handling way more. And I think that in itself is a great return on investment. So I see that as a long-term investment. RSM's motto is, the slogan is a force for positive change. And I do see that reflected very much in my classmates, me included. We all want to do something in business that also has a wider impact on the world, on the ESG, on the 17 SDGs. We are very inclined towards that. Now, I don't know if people who prefer sustainability pick the school or whether the school transforms people. I think it's a little bit of both, because there are people who have good intentions. Like me, I would say I had good intentions of what I wanted to do, but I wasn't bang on point as to what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it until I finished my MBA, or during my MBA rather. So it's definitely a little bit of both ways. But I do see that it is very much inculcated in the way we are taught. We are one of the first courses we have is sustainability. We are taught about other people. We are made a little more aware of what is happening in the world and how we can change that in ways that we can change that. We do study these things. So yes, I would say that it is definitely, the school definitely inculcates the force for positive change in the world through their students, and really hopes that their students make a difference in the world, which I think is very likely, especially from my classmates. And I think it is very positive. And sometimes a force for positive change doesn't necessarily mean something drastic where you affect 10,000 people, but just the school very much also inculcates this culture wherein we help each other. If someone comes up to me and says they want to join RSM or they are an alumni from RSM, I will help them. And I have seen that even from, we have, I don't know, some thousands of alumni. You just contact anyone, cold call them and just say, hi, I'm from RSM. They will talk to you. People do reach out to you. We get job offers from just alumni who just send it to the career office saying, hey, there's a job vacancy if anyone wants it. We get internship offers like that. So we have a very strong network, and that is also a positive change, because I think helping others is always good karma. I mean, it doesn't have to be someone who's in need in a like from a society or an environmental point of view, but also from a personal point of view. So yes, it is inculcated, I think, very much a force for positive change in the way we work. For anyone considering this course, I can tell you that besides all the education and the self-development, I have actually made friends with the best people, and my lifelong friends, my best friends in the world have been through this course. And I'm extremely appreciative of the fact that I had this opportunity to mix with people from so many different cultures and backgrounds, with so many different kinds of mindsets. And they've really changed my life and they will continue to change my life until the end. So I really felt like that was something that was very strong and something I will take away with me amongst a bunch of other things that were really important, but not really always advertised in an MBA program. But the kind of culture, the relationships I developed have been absolutely spectacular.